The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Buff Sun Podcast. We are the best POD in 313. We got the wings to review today. We did the guards last week. We're on to the wings this week. We got Ausar, Tech, THJ, and then we got the rookies, Clintman and Holland. We're going to start off with Ausar. That would be probably the most interesting guy of all these guys we're going to go over today because a lot hinges on Ausar's season this year. So going back to last season, his season was cut short due to a blood clot injury while he was locking up Luka Doncic. In 63 games last year, Ausar averaged 8.8 points, 6.4 boards, 1.9 assists, 48.3 from the field, 18.6% from three to go as 59.7% from the line, and an effective field goal percentage of 50.5. I took a look at Ausar's shot chart. I mentioned it before we started recording. There's one big green blob around the rim, and then pretty much everywhere else is X's. It looks like he's more efficient from the left corner than the right corner, but we need to see some more consistency from behind the arc with Ausar. And then if we go month by month with how he shot the three ball, I don't really count October because I think we started like October 18th, so I don't really count that. He went like 1 for 7, then he goes like 4 for 17. Hold on, I have it pulled up right here. He
4 for 28.
Yeah, 4 for 28. Thank you, man. Thank you. 4 for 28, 4 for 24, 2 for 17, 5 for 17. And then it got a little bit better towards the end with the last 2 months, 5 for 17 and 5 for 20. But I think we've all touched on it ever since the hiring of Fred Vinson. Ausar is going to need to get that number up. I'd like to see it. He finished 18%. I want to see it at least above 20 at the very, very least. I think 23 to 25 is probably realistic. Anything above that would kind of be exceeding my expectations. If he shot the three as well as Killian Hayes did during his tenure in Detroit, I'd consider it a success. But Valley, you're first on my screen. What are you expecting from Ausar Thompson this season?
More the same, to be honest. I'm not expecting a massive growth from the 3-point shot. I am expecting some growth in terms of percentage, but in terms of volume, I'm not really expecting more attempts from him, really. I'm expecting him to do more of the same things. And with the improved spacing, I think we always talk about how that will help Cade, how that'll help Ivy, but I think it'll help Ausar as well. I think he's a really smart cutter. Watching Killian Hayes start with him and like try to do those backdoor cuts, it just seemed to kind of like overflow and overlap in backdoor cuts. I think if we have that one, like, I don't want to say designated backdoor cutter, but for the most part, like a lot of his buckets are going to be drop offs, dump offs, him finishing from that dunker spot, like you said with the shot chart. There will be a few shots from the corners, I'm sure. I hope nowhere else other than the corners, because I feel like when he took like a top of the key or a wing 3-pointer, it's like just like any shot, he would airball by like 4 feet. Like I swear to God, that's insane. But I'm just expecting more finishing at the rim. I really don't see like a huge, massive increase in point production. I just see a lot more finishes at the rim, improved spacing to allow him to cut because he's one, like we talk about Ivy being one of the most athletic players in the NBA in terms of like just sheer speed and verticality, but like Asar's right up there with him, especially in terms of verticality. Um, I expect around double-digit points. I expect a lot of rebounds. I expect a lot of steals and blocks, and a guy who just likes to go and get dirty.
Yeah, I mean, and another guy that we're going to talk about later that's a great cutter is Bobby Clintman. But for now, Connie, your thoughts on Ausar this upcoming season?
I mean, yeah, Valley really nailed it. Like, am I expecting really any major changes? I think major changes, like maybe some slight increase in shooting percentages. But I think just the way that the team is structured, like Valley said, is much more conducive to his success now. Um, I'm expecting more playing time. I I don't know how you guys feel about that. I know we're leaning towards we have more shooters on this team, so there might be less spots for him to be, but there was like a
Do,
good deal of time last season where Monty just benched this dude and like did not give him the minutes. You guys think his minutes go up or down from last year? Do you have the minutes per game in front of you?
He was at, give me 1 second.
I feel like he played a lot of games with big minutes, and then there was kind of like it was kind of
He was
one or
at,
the
yeah,
other. Like you're playing.
he was at 25 on average.
I think it'll be right
Um,
around then.
I'll see a slight increase, but I don't think he'll go over 30.
I agree.
Just because we have like
Yeah.
a lot of players, like you said, like where will those minutes come from? What does that mean? I mean, we have so many questions about our lineup. Does that mean like Ron Holland isn't playing? Does that mean for sure Clintman isn't playing? Does that mean Harris will get the same amount of minutes? I think there's just a lot of questions about that.
Something I am a little worried about, I guess you could say, is like last year, rookie season. I guess you could say as the year goes along, teams have more footage and more scouting on him. But here, second year, there is a lot more scouting and like knowledge of the way that he plays the game. And our team's going to be more attentive towards those offensive rebounds because he got so many points like crashing the glass or making those cuts. Our team's going to be more schematic about it. Are they going to box out harder? I've been playing pickup basketball with a guy who plays a lot like Ausar Thompson. He's a guard. He's actually an Instagram dunker. Check him out, Darius Ragland. He throws down some pretty cool stuff. Um, but I've noticed that he becomes a lot less effective when every single time the ball goes up, I smash him with my butt and I box him out. There's a whole lot less points on the board. So our team's going to be looking at Asar the same way. Are they like, we can cut off this man's main form of offense by just boxing out and being more like attentive to it? Or is he going to find like continue to find the crevices in defenses?
Yeah,
I
that'll be another. Yeah, go ahead.
I think he will continue to find it because last year we didn't have a single threat, and the only threat was offensive rebounds. So teams already knew they can't shoot. The only thing we have to do is stop them from just grinding us down. This year, theoretically, I think we all agree that he probably won't start, right? If Fontecchio and Harris are at the 3-4. What I'd really like to see is kind of what Amin Thompson did for the Rockets once Şengün went down last year. He came into the starting lineup, which Ausar won't do, but he kind of played like the small ball five, which we've talked a lot of. Just for him to be that roller vertical spacer, if him and Stu were coming off the bench, I think we even said Stu can play the five defensively and then offensively let Ausar play the five and do these handoffs, short rolls. He's an incredible passer, incredible defender. So I think he's gonna have a really good season. I don't think that 3-point percentage is going to climb above like 25%. But I also think he'll take less threes. Like a lot of the game plan last year was for him to stand in the corner and take threes because that's all Monty knew what to do. So I think he's going to take less threes or same amount, but it's like less percentage of his shots and be more of a five on offense. And I think that's where he'll really start to find his groove. He reminds me a little bit of Herb Jones. He also had a disgusting jump shot in college, kind of long, lengthy defender. And if Fred Vincent can change his jump shot to what it is today, then maybe there's hope. But yeah, I expect a good season. I'm high on Ausar. A
As am
really
I.
good season. Yeah.
As am I. And if he can fix Lonzo Ball's jump shot, I think he can fix almost anybody's jump shot. But as we round up this segment, what number are you expecting to increase this season more likely? Would it be his assist numbers or his 3-point percentage? I'm gonna go with I'd like more than 1.9 assists from Ausar this season. I think we've talked about it on the show before how like me personally I'd like to see Ausar maybe with a little bit more ability to pass the ball. So hopefully we see a little bit more of that. But curious to see what you guys think. Would you be more opposed to him shooting more threes or more on ball?
Could you read out his straight up stats, just the basics real
last
quick
year,
if you have them? Yeah.
he was 8.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and he shot 18.6% from the 3-point line.
And steals and blocks. I feel like his blocks were pretty high, right?
His blocks
That
are
might be
0.9.
0.9.
Yeah. And I think steals are like 1.1.
Yes, sir.
I like the assist answer, and if it plays into my short roll playmaking type of dream for him, I could see that at like 3.5 maybe.
I'm all about it. I'm all
Yeah.
about it. And we talked about how we want more Ausar arcade pick and rolls too. So with him playing the five on offense, hopefully we get more of that too.
Either that or blocks. I think he'll get up to 1.5 blocks, which is less, but it's a smaller stat, so it's the
Fair,
percentage of the change.
fair.
I want to say assists. I see no reason why he can't get 3 to 4 assists a game. I think he does have that ability. However, I think it comes back to quite frankly, we don't know if he's going to start. We have added a lot of wings to this team and a lot of shooting to this team, and it depends on what Bickerstaff is looking for in a rotation. So I want to say assists. I do see that possibility for him, but at the same time, I don't know if that opportunity will be there as much. So honestly, give me that 3 point percentage. 18 is ridiculous, man. You
Yeah.
got to be a little better than that.
What,
I
what do you
agree.
think then?
What'd you say?
I said Gabe said, "What do you think?" I said I agree because 18% is laughable and just can't continue to be the
It's
3 point
actually
percentage that he
18.6, so 19%.
so 19% is laughable and cannot be the percentage that he goes forward with, so that has to increase. Whereas the playmaking, like Valley said, if he has a little smaller role with the other guys out there, I
How
also think
about
a 3 pointer. And give me 24.
how about this? I have a different stat, and it's more so a measurement that I expect to increase the most. Pounds.
Hmm.
You're gonna play that big role, I mean, obviously every player comes into the league, smaller than they end up, and it's gonna be a long process, but get bigger, man. He's a pretty skinny guy. I mean, strong as hell, but get some meat on those bones. I think he can really be more legitimate as that of what we see him as, that five on offense as the roller. But also defensively, check that would make him guard 1 through 4. I feel like if he put a significant amount of weight on over time.
Yeah, and James Edwards, Omar Sankofa, Bryce Simon, they all said that Ausar looked a lot stronger when they saw him at Summer League. So there is that. Any other notes on Ausar before we move into Tech?
He play? I
If
mean, all defensive team
I was
considerations. Hot.
just about to ask. I was just about to ask if the
That's a good
minutes are
question.
consistent. Does he make all defense?
Minutes are
We
consistent.
know
Yes.
he has the aspirations to do so, but
I
you're a
mean,
Piston, man. It ain't happening. You're in Detroit.
Yeah, I don't think so,
They
but
gotta be good.
Zach Lowe always says that these awards come a year after you earn the recognition. So if this is the year that people start talking about it, then next year he's in
I
there
like
running.
that.
that's fair. And I'm excited to see how he holds up against guys that like he did last year, the Shays, the Lucas. So hopefully we get a full season of Asar Thompson. But for now, we will have to wait and see. And we're going to move into segment 2. Moving into segment 2 now, we're going to talk about a guy that the Pistons acquired at the deadline. I think we were all super excited when we got this guy. I think Gabe even came on the pod after we lost to Utah and was like, Simone Fontecchio would be really good on this team. And the next thing you know, a couple months later, he's teammates with Cade Cunningham. So, Valley, talk to us about what you're expecting to see from Tech 19 this upcoming season.
I'm expecting more of the same. He came in and instantly made a huge impact. Significant jump in his numbers from his Utah days to Detroit, although a small sample size. He averaged 15.5 points a game and 4.5 rebounds per game in a Detroit uniform while shooting almost 43% from deep. I just truly don't think fans understand the magnitude of his impact. That is such a prized possession to have in the NBA. He's a big wing. He's a solid 6'8". He contributes defensively. He moves his feet really, really well. I want to touch on the fact that he signed a 2-year, $16 million extension this summer. I think that's one of the biggest bargains from this summer in general. Not talking about the Pistons. I think that's going to go. That'll be shown as just a huge steal down the line. He's a real fill in, kind of like a glue guy to me. Can do a bit of everything and really excels at shooting threes. That's what you need in the modern NBA. You need guys that are going to contribute, are going to be able to play off ball and can shoot 3-pointers. I don't have his specific numbers from the corner, but I know he excelled from the corner. I want to say high 40s. I'm expecting more of the same from him next season, be above 40% from deep. Am I expecting a point increase? No, not necessarily, but honestly, the shots he was taking, this is gonna sound a little silly, but some of the shots he was taking and making were kind of Klay Thompson-esque. Where it doesn't matter how much space I'm having, I'm pulling this and I'm shooting it with confidence, make or miss, and I'm gonna keep having the same mentality in my shot. I love Simone. I hope he's a starter to this team. If not, I can see kind of a sixth man role for him, or see him teeter between starting lineup and bench as the season goes on. I think he's just such a valuable asset to have, like size, shooting, defense, like at a high level. What else can you ask for? I truly don't understand why he's not talked enough more within the Pistons community, and I don't understand why his contract isn't talked enough more in the NBA in general. And I'm gonna say, guys, hot take: best Italian player for the Pistons since Luigi Datome.
Who else is in that discussion?
Yeah.
Probably no one.
Gallinari.
Danilo Gallinari. Yeah,
Danilo Gallinari.
that's about it. No, I'm with
But
you.
oh no, I think he's just in general just a super, super underrated player that is going to provide so much for this franchise. Bargain of a deal.
And those numbers that you provided, those were just his numbers with the Pistons since the trade deadline, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So do you have his numbers in front of you for the whole year?
If you just give me one moment, I do indeed.
Because
His total for the 23-24 season was 10.5 points a game. And just under 4 rebounds while shooting 46 and 40.
that's crazy. Yeah. So I'm expecting. I mean, I think the points goes up for sure from 10. I think maybe if you average it out like 13 maybe per because I don't know how many shots he's gonna get with guys like Hardaway. Maybe he won't even play much. We don't know yet, and we'll have to see. But I'd say 13 points a game, and I'm expecting, like you said, over 40 from three. But Connie, how do you feel about Simone this upcoming season?
I mean, I love me some Simone Fontecchio because I love a guy that just doesn't need the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Valley mentioned his corner threes. I'm just gonna bring them up. Right corner three, 47%. Left corner three, 40%. Again, those are just crazy numbers. Uh, and I wanted to add on to that. Of his 252 field goal made last year, 217 were assisted. This man is a weapon that is designed for like a high level playmaker, a guy to pass to, a guy to kick out to. Um, I think those numbers absolutely go up. He's not averaging 10 next season. I think Valley overstated the defense, I guess, in my opinion, a little bit. Though it is tough to say with how bad that the whole Pistons squad was at defense last year. I think he's more of a part player in a good defense rather than like a creator of a good defense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah. What can I say? I'm really expecting a lot of the same. Maybe like connective playmaking, hitting the three when he's passed to, and being like a big wing, a 6'8" wing like that. Even if I don't think his defense is crazy, it can't be understated that he's like 6'8" and heavy, like put together, a built young man. I guess older man. He's older than me, but yeah, I love me some Tech. I think he's a perfect piece. I hope he starts.
I do too, and I know Valley. If I don't talk about it, Valley will. So I'm just gonna steal the show. Uh, Tech loved the fact that Kate asked him when he got to Detroit, "Where do you like the ball when I passed it to you, so it's easier for you to get into your shot?" Big part of the reason Tech loved playing with Cade, wanted to come back, and I think we saw a lot more of Tech putting the ball on the ground and driving to the basket than I thought we were expecting. So maybe we don't see as much of that this season now that we're more kind of, trying to find an identity and he's going to have more of a role as just more of a shooter rather than a guy that we're ever going to need like in late clock situations like we did last year with some of the guys we had out there. But I'm excited to see what Tech brings. Gabe, your thoughts on Tech?
Yeah, Ahmed, your last point is exactly what I was gonna say until Connie brought up that stat of his assisted numbers. Because I swear remembered him being decent, like just like with the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I didn't really expect him to be much of a basketball player, but he knows how to play. And I think I'm kind of between you guys defensively. I think he's a little better than just a piece. He's really smart, I think, with where he needs to be, and he's sneakily like athletic on his blocks. That's what I always really like. He goes up with a strong arm, and he's really stalled some people there. And then, really, the last thing, I just think he's like locked in starter next to Cade and Tobias. And I guess this kind of combines Ausar and him, but I really think our closing lineup will be Cade, Simone at the two, and then Ausar, Tobias, and Duran. It's just shooting, defense, size, everything you need, and it's there's more and more of those lineups popping up now in the NBA, and Fontecchio's, like you said, Connie, that piece that just fits anywhere. He can shoot, he plays defense, and that's all, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He's like an upgraded version of Tim Hardaway, who we will be talking about next. He is coming off an injury. I don't think we
Yes.
said that.
Yes, we did
Do you
not.
know the specifics of it, Amit?
I do not. I believe it was a foot injury, or a toe injury, something like that.
But he has been working out. He has been playing. I've seen you know, videos on Instagram, stuff like that. But he did get foot surgery.
He did, but I'm not too worried about it. I mean, I feel like players go through the wear and tear of a season, and then they just get a surgery to fix it, and they're right back at it at the beginning of the next season. I'm just glad it's not like within his finger or anything, because I feel like that would impact the shot more. I feel like he's
Yeah, because you
I
don't need like the foot is something that's like really low importance in the game of basketball.
yeah, unless you're like uber athletic like Ausar Thompson, or you're trying to like change direction super quickly. So maybe he's going to be a little more slow footed in his turning his hips towards the basket on defense, but he's on this team to shoot, so hopefully he just continues to do that. But Valley, any closing remarks on Tech?
Not necessarily. I think if I get a Pistons jersey this year, I think I'm gonna get a Fontecchio jersey, man.
I love it. I
I'm
love
high
it.
on this guy. I'm high on this guy.
I love it. I love it. Well,
I got one question.
yeah.
All right, he in 16 games, he hit 43 three-pointers. That is, if he plays all 82, 220 on the season. Do we think that Simone Fontecchio hits 200 three-pointers in this upcoming year?
If he plays,
Yes,
what
I
did
think he'll
Sadiq
smash
hit
that.
as a rookie? Do you remember that number?
Oh man, he set the record, right? He has a
The
single
Pistons
season.
record, yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had the Pistons record. He had 500. He broke Steph Curry. Sadiq, his rookie year, had 175.
I feel like that's
211 the next year.
I feel dang. I feel like yeah, I feel like it's possible. Sadiq was chucking up shots though.
I'm
He also
I'm
played
gonna
all
say yes
82.
as well. Yeah. I mean that average 200 averages out to about 2.4 a game. That's a pretty good number. Hitting three threes a game is nice. I
It
feel
is.
like he hits either two or three most games. So yeah, I'll say yes on that 200.
So you think he'll get 7 to 9 3-point attempts per game, or shots per game, and then like
Yeah.
okay,
Depending on the game, he could hit 8 threes. You know, he just gets hot.
just get
That's
hot.
what he does. Yeah.
That's what he does. I love it. Well, with that being said, let's move into another guy that's going to be shooting the ball a lot around Cade Cunningham, and that's Tim Hardaway Jr. in segment 3. We're back here with segment 3. We got Gabe telling us about Tim Hardaway Jr. and what he expects from him this upcoming season. So, Gabe?
Yeah, so Tim Hardaway Jr. is a very similar player to Fontecchio, except that he lacks 3 inches, the basketball IQ, defense, and he's bad at reading basketball. So really just the shooting. And that's really what he's done. That's really what he's done in the league since he came in. He's in his career, he's at about 14 points per game at 36% from deep. Last season, he was at exactly that as well. About 3 rebounds and a little under 2 assists a game. He's a volume shooter who doesn't do much else on the court. He kind of reminds me of the Christian Wood of shooting guards. A lot of the people on the Mavericks subreddit, he was like the Killian Hayes there. He's like half the people loved him, half the people hated him, and people were like, "Oh, he needs smarter coaching to put him in positions to succeed." But if you're playing next to Luka and Kyrie and you still get traded and you're a shooter, doesn't spell too good. But all that being said, he did average 14 points a game last year, which was more than I thought, actually. He can shoot the basketball. So I think he will be a perfect Alec Burks replacement this year, which means just as infuriating and just as needed sometimes. You guys have anything else on Tim Hardaway?
Yeah, I think he's got a little more oomph with the ball in his hands than you give him credit for. We should have put someone else in charge of Tim Hardaway Jr. because Gabe is just clearly a THJ hater.
You want me to read the #1 comment on the Tim Hardaway
No.
the post?
Actually, sure, whatever.
It says, the thing Exum is available, he's much better in the clutch because he's a better ball handler and with the ball in his hands. So
yeah, I'm not saying,
Exum
like,
is that guy.
yeah, and NBA Reddit, notoriously the best analysts of the game. But he does have like a good amount of shot attempts from the mid range. Last year playing with Luca, I like at least. I mean, I'm not gonna say I watched the most Mavericks games in the world, but I did watch a couple, and I was always sort of enjoyed his ability to like one dribble pull up midi when the defense collapses on him. So like he's got a little bit of something. I agree that his main focus on this team will obviously be to shoot the three. Um, Interesting thing about him is, whereas our other shooters that we've talked about, like Simone Fontecchio and who do we talk about? Who's Mr. Corner Three?
Uh,
We talked about him. We
Disaster.
talked about him last
That's-
pod.
Beasley.
Beasley. Conversely to those guys, Tim Hardaway Jr. shot way more of his threes above the break. Interestingly, even though he played with Luca and Kyrie, he had 440 threes above the break and 150 like from the corners combined.
I can see that though, like in a fast break situation, just to push ahead and he steps into it. So I can see that.
Now he still shot him at a high percentage from the corners, but it's just interesting. He gets his threes from a little bit different locations than our other guys. I wonder how that fits into what we got going.
I mean, that's actually a really interesting point because, like, say you do have, like, say you run out Cade, Bees, Tech, and Hardaway, right? Like, you can put Bees and Tech in the corners, and that's fine because they're strong suit, and then Hardaway above the break. That's actually a really good point. So
I
that's
think it also shows something a little bit, I think, more to versatility because I think above the break counts as anything that's like wings or top of the key. So anything that's like not directly corners. So I think he's a little more versatile in his 3-point game than some other guys. He can get them up.
I like that. And I hope we get to see some playing time from him. I'm blanking on it now. I think somewhere I heard he was like the third highest scorer. I don't remember if it was in the playoffs or the regular season on the Mavericks team behind Luka and Kyrie. But was it him who got a lot of criticism for his playoff performance, or was that just Tobias?
That was him.
That was him too, right? So like, again, we're gonna bring this up when we talk about Tobias too. We're not really worried about playoff performance right now. For the Pistons, we're not going to the playoffs. We just need guys who can just come in and just make shots, right? We're not really planning on going anywhere right now. If we make the play in, I think we're all going to be ecstatic about it. But I'm excited to see what THJ brings. But Connie, anything else you got to add, or otherwise we'll kick it to Valley?
All right,
Valley, what do you think about THJ this upcoming season?
One of those guys I predict that won't be here after the deadline. Honestly, I know he's on a big deal, but even though we're in desperate need of spacing, I think we filled in other spacers that are essentially better than him. I I really don't have much to say on Timmy. You know, I think a lot of the things we can say about Timmy, we said about Malik Beasley, except it's kind of lesser with Timmy. I feel like it's the general perception. Yes, because he's on a bigger deal, but also because yes, Dallas's bench was terrible for the most part, and he was essentially kicked out of that rotation, which I think really does mean something. I'm happy to have a guy who enjoys, like Michigan enjoys being here on the team, but I'm afraid it's just not gonna be one of those long-lasting things. If you're talking about Alec Burks, man, I think he's gonna be levels off of Alec Burks. He won't be there.
He's not as good as Alec Burks, I think.
Right, guys, come on.
He's not. Just watch. I think he's more Joe Harris than Alec Burks this season.
All right, can we acknowledge that Tim Hardaway Jr. has hit higher highs than Alec Burks has in his career?
Mm-hmm.
Has he?
Has he? What's Alec Burks' best season? Sorry, this is gonna take. Now we're going.
It was in Golden State when they were all injured, I think.
Alec Burks' best scoring season was 16.1 on worst percentages. Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay, so Tim Hardaway's probably
he's better than Alec Burks right now.
Right now.
throughout his career, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been the better player than Alec Burks. I'll die on that hill.
That's
All right,
fair.
but either way, I think he's coming off the bench to score, not playing with Cade. I think it'll be a lot of him and Ivy together. And yeah, I think like Valley said, he could be moved if a team wants that scoring punch for like a playoff bench, like the Lakers or whatever.
Yeah,
He's gonna
and
be expiring as well this year, right? Or does he have one more?
I believe it's expiring.
Yeah. So that becomes very valuable.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe he just gets heavy minutes to start the year until like Feb, and then like he's gone, and then we give those minutes to somebody else. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But Gabe, close us out on the THJ talk.
Got nothing else.
Great closer. Well, with that being said, we're gonna move into our next segment. We're gonna talk about the rookies, Bobby Clinton and Ron Holland. Moving into our next segment here, we're gonna talk about the Pistons' 2 draft picks this past draft in Bobby Clinton and Ron Holland. So, Connie, talk to us about the rookies. Start with whoever you want to start with and what you're expecting from them this upcoming season.
I'll go in pick order. So 5th overall, Ron Holland. I tried to think of like what to expect from this guy and like what role and what he's going to be on this team, and I kind of couldn't come up with something because I have such a wide range of what I think it could be that I couldn't like nail it down. Because in my mind, there's a chance that he's a bench spark. There's a chance that he plays for the G League. There's a chance that he's like a starting caliber wing based off his like athleticism, defense, and like a little ability with the ball. Really, what I'm expecting from him is if I had to hone in on one thing, it's second unit like ball handling, scoring, like secondary ball handling and scoring. This man's not a big shooter. Another Fred Vinson, a big job to do. But what he can do is he can get downhill, he can outmuscle guys, he can outwork guys, and he gets out on the fast break. So I think there is a room for him on this team. It's interesting because as far as non-shooting wings go, him and Ausar kind of fill a similar spot, even though they do very different things. That you can't really play both of them at the same time or like with a whole lot of crossover, just because you need shooting out there. But he could also be amazing, you know. It's just like with his athleticism and abilities. I had a really hard time nailing down what I thought Ron Holland would do this year. For Clintman, I'm a little more sure that he is, at least to start, going to be a G League product. He spent some time at Wake Forest. He was okay there. He went to Australia. He was pretty good there. He came here, and I really liked what we saw out of him in the summer league. He was 11 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot over 40% from the three-point line. I think he's a little slow, a tad bit unathletic, but you know, there's NBA players that are less athletic that have worked around it and done a lot of things. He's big, pounds, like he's very aggressive in the way that he plays. He's a smart passer. So with Bobby, I'm thinking like G League for the most part. And as the year goes on and guys go out and spots need to be filled, I think we are going to see some Bobby minutes, probably mostly off the bench. But I don't have huge expectations for him this first year. What do you guys think about those two guys?
Like you said, Ausar. I mean, they're still similar. First of all, yeah, Ausar and Holland. But Holland, like you said, I have no idea, like what he is. I think what he can be is easier to like imagine than what he'll actually be like next season. I expect him to play in the G League a lot, honestly, especially if we're relatively competitive. With Yeah, like I said, with Ausar already probably coming off the bench, there's not room for another non-shooter. We kind of went through that experiment last year, which is why I think Clintman might play more this year. And because like you said, we know who he is, and it's not just because he's Swedish, but he's kind of slow and big and a shooter. But he reminds me of Jerebko, just a smart player, kind of did everything and was just a good, decent basketball player with his limitations. But we could use that guy off the bench, especially. So, yeah, I'm excited to watch him play, and I'm excited to see what Ron Holland actually does.
Me
And
too.
I'm not expecting a lot.
No, I'm not either. Valley, your thoughts on the rookies?
Yeah, I think that's pretty nice comparison there to Jerebko for Clintman. Um, in terms of Holland, it's really like I don't know, it could go so many different directions in terms of what he'll provide, especially from day one. Like I could see him get out there, play 10 minutes, just a really high energy basketball, and that's kind of it for him. Like just seeing like two little spurts for him. At the same time, like I'd see him straight to the G League, develop more there, and maybe we'll see him like in the latter half of the season more when we're more than likely going to be a garbage team that's just, in for the next season yet again. So it's really confusing. I think we'll see him in moments more often than not, and I think we'll see him mostly when there's injuries to other wings. I think he had a really encouraging summer league. I think that jumper is okay, but the summer league was good, and I think it's enough to get him. I think he'll get some minutes of just some really high energy basketball, and it'll be with select units. I think, with more veterans around him and some more like spacing around him. But he also played point guard for the G League night for a really long time, and we talked last pod about us not really having another ball handler. Marcus Sasser being that backup point. I'm not saying by any means Holland can fill in, especially right away to be that backup point, but potentially the season goes on if we don't make additions to our roster and Cade and Ivy are still starting. I could see a world where Ron Holland is getting some minutes in as a ball handler.
That would be very intriguing. But as much as I'd love to watch both of these guys play, and the Pistons we're so used to the Pistons drafting somebody and not only putting them on the start opening night roster, but having them start on opening night. We've had Hayes, we've had Sadiq. I think Stu started too. We've had Ivy and Duran. Duran didn't start, but Ivy did. And then we had Ausar start. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do with these guys. I still think there's 6 to 7 guys above them on the depth chart, which is unfortunate because I don't think we're going to get to see much of them until later on in the season. But still, it's going to be fun to watch them grow because of the upside of both of them. You guys touched on Clintman's passing. I think it blew us all away when we watched some summer league basketball. And I think I'm just curious to see what Ron Holland can become. I'm kind of in the same boat as Connie when he started. Like there's such a wide range of what could happen that I can't like put my finger on one specific thing, but it'll be an interesting season for sure. Not only to see their development, but to see how they're utilized as well. But Connie, you want to close out this segment on the Rooks?
Yeah. So Ron Holland, dumb athletic, is probably best with the ball in his hands, which could be a strength or a weakness, really, in terms of him getting minutes. Bobby Clintman fits in much better as, like we said, you always need a guy that can shoot threes and is big. So both of these guys have, I think, ample opportunity on a bad team to prove themselves as players, and I am always rooting for them and very excited to see it.
All right. With that being said, we're gonna move into our final segment. We're rounding out the show here today. Gabe had called this last week, so we're gonna give him the stage. Gabe has a guest at Piston for us. Then we're gonna talk a little bit into the countdown for opening night and preseason. But before that, Gabe, have us guess that Piston. So you want us to go straight into the questions? I know Connie can take the first question because I know he knows. I know what he's gonna ask.
Go ahead.
Is he white?
No.
Oh, damn, that does not narrow it down.
Yeah.
We go coaches. Valley, ask the coaching question because I word mine poorly.
Has he played post Stan Van
No.
for us?
Ooh.
Stan guy or a Stan Van or pre-Stan Van guy? All right, Amit.
Wait, did you say he was a pre or a post Stan Van guy?
He just said he wasn't a post.
Wasn't a
so
post.
It could be during or before.
Could be during or before. Was he a guard?
No.
Okay. So
Is he
guys,
a pre-Stan Van guy?
Yeah.
pre-Stan.
Oh, man. All right.
Lawrence Frank type.
You said not a guard?
Not a guard.
Would Gabe go like back to
Old? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Look at his face.
Were they good at shooting threes?
Uh, I would say no. They weren't awful, but they were definitely not good.
All right, what do we got so far?
He's pre-Stan Van. He is not white, and he's an okay 3-point shooter
And not a guard.
and not a guard.
Was he a part of the going to work Pistons?
No,
Damn. I had a guess too. I was gonna guess Sheed.
he's afterwards.
He's afterwards.
Okay. So we're talking about a range from like 2009 to 2015.
15.
15. When did Stanman take over? 15.
I think it was 15.
Was he a regular member of the rotation? Like, did he have a key role to the team?
No,
No.
this guy's a pull.
This guy's
talking
a-
bench warmer.
This is when I
Alright,
wasn't even
Is
watching
he a
much.
big?
No,
Okay, we're talking a wing.
A
Not
wing,
a
couldn't
primary
shoot.
shooter. Could sort
you're
of
at 8
shoot,
questions.
Not a primary shooter. Who played for either Lawrence Frank, Mo Cheeks.
I don't know.
Remember, I say he was not a good shooter. He was not an awful shooter. Oh, look, I'll say he was a career 32% shooter on not a lot of attempts.
Dang, I was thinking Austin Day, but I feel like Austin Day took a decent amount of threes.
I was also thinking about Austin Day.
What year did Stan Van come in? 2014?
I think it was 15. Let's see.
2 more questions if you need them.
Oh yeah, we need him.
I'm not gonna be much help here. I wasn't watching much in these days.
Did we trade for them?
Oh, I'll look it up. Yes.
I have a long shot idea.
I gotta guess.
We got one more
gotta
question to try and narrow it down.
It's a wild trade. But I'll tell you that after.
Okay.
Wild trade.
Oh. Okay.
Oh,
I have some ideas.
I have an idea. It's the only thing in my mind, but I don't even know if it'll make sense.
Well, what's another question you got to narrow it down?
Was he bald?
Yes.
Bald. Dang, I was thinking Josh Smith for a second.
Oh, that would have been a
Are we at
guess.
10?
That was
Huh?
Josh ain't bald.
Is that 10?
That's 10 questions. I'll give you one more hint. His nickname is 5-0.
Oh, I know.
Who the hell is
That
that?
doesn't help me.
I've heard that nickname before.
Was it?
All right,
Hold
guys.
on.
Each
Was it
have
Corey
one
Maggette?
guess. Huh?
That was my guess before the nickname. Corey
Who?
Maggette?
It's Corey Maggette.
Corey
I love
Maggette
Corey
with the
Maggette.
spaghetti.
What a-
Yeah, I
Shout
thought he
out
was going to be a
Bobcats
big deal for the Pistons.
Well, we got him like end of career.
Yeah, he ended up playing 18 games for us, averaging 5 points on 35% shooting. We
I feel
traded
like he became an
Ben Gordon and a future first round pick for him. And then he
I feel like he
retired.
became an NBA TV analyst that exact same season.
Probably.
Do you know who that pick became?
Who?
No, I'm asking.
Oh no.
You know, pick was game. Corey Maggette. A lot of NBA guys, they talk about Corey. I know Melo talks about Corey Maggette as a guy that like showed him NBA work ethic. Like a guy that came to practice and tried super fucking hard. I love Corey McGiddy. He was a community grinder. Yeah, he could get like 10 free throws a game, just slamming into people. Underrated historically.
So it was a 2013 protected first round pick. So who did the Bobcats? 2013 draft.
Probably gonna be a decent player. There's some luck.
Kemba Walker. No, I'm just kidding.
It was protected, so maybe it didn't even convey, but they picked Cody Zeller for that's the only pick. So that's where the trail ends for me. I don't know where that pick ended up because it's not that.
Yeah. All right. Any other Connie, is it you next week? You'll have the guy and we'll guess your guy.
I'll have a guy and there's no chance that you guys guess him, so have fun.
Yeah, I probably will.
I did not expect you guys to get McGiddy.
I had no clue. I was so lost on that one.
Yeah, me too. But we're getting close to preseason, Pistons fans. We are only 20 days away from the October 6th game against the Suns at LCA. If you haven't heard already, the Pistons are going to play the Suns on October 6th at LCA, and then October 13th they're going to play in Lansing. But we're only 37 days away from opening night, so it's fast approaching. It's coming up. The off season's almost over. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we're going to come back next week, and we're going to talk about the bigs, plus Tobias Harris. But anything else to add on this pod, guys, or we'll close it out? We'll close it out.
Close it out.
Close it out. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. If you haven't already, check out our season preview of the guards. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, that's fine. I did the work for you. I cut them up into 4 separate videos so that you can go 5 separate videos so you can go check them out that way if you don't care about watching a certain guy. But until next time, throw the Buffs on, Detroit. The future is bright.